Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa. This is our match preview for Southampton, but also taking a look back at Brentford. If you are new to our channel, make sure you are subscribing, smash the likes. Let's try and get around 700 likes and comment your thoughts in the comment section down below. So last night, it was a lot better. It was the Villa that I recognise from last season. I just thought we were really good, especially in the first half. We were dynamic, explosive, powerful. We were driving forward. We had energy. We had pace. We had power. We had quality. So it was a real good performance. And I think it was one that, in Emery's program notes, he was talking about sort of in adversity when you're not doing well. It's about sticking together. He was mentioning the loyalty of the fans. And I just think we just needed to stick together. And for me personally, yes, we beat Brentford. Brentford in fine form, doing really, really well this season. It could have been a really sticky patch if we didn't turn up, but we did. We performed. We got the victory. And now it's about forgetting this little run that we've been on and focus on what's ahead of us. Because if we beat Southampton at the weekend, we probably will move up the table a little bit, could be 5th, 6th. So I think we're back where we really need to be. So the performance was very, very good. So what we're going to do on this one, we're going to have a little bit of a look back, a little bit of a debrief of Brentford, and then we'll move on to Southampton. We'll have a look at them tactically, how they're playing, and we'll have a chat about Southampton as well. But one thing that really sort of just got me really excited against Brentford was the Morgan Rogers performance, because as football fans, don't you just love a player that is just free-flowing, expressing himself, and just looks like he's just enjoying the game? It just looked like, to me, Rogers' performance, it was like on the playground at school with the kids, just being that kid that's way better than everybody else. And it's my ball. I'm keeping it. I'm going to dribble with it. And he just looked head and shoulders above most players. I thought it was one of those performances where players just really stand out and quality shows. And he got the goal, but it was when he was just dropping and he was knocking it and he was keeping it and he was holding it. And I thought Rogers was really, really good. So let's have a look at some of the really standout points from the game then. So the biggest thing, and it was this goal that I think showed how good of a team we are. So here we can see we've got Boubacar Kamara, who could go a couple of ways here. He could go back inside. I think he could probably just dribble around there. But he's doing this little jinking little movement that he does. And this is Boubacar Kamara. This is why he's in the team and we have missed him so much. Because in this position here, he rolls two players and Boubacar Kamara is away. He's got green grass in front of him. And Aston Villa attack centrally through the middle of the pitch. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to get Rogers in areas where he can drive forward. Boubacar Kamara has rolled his man. He's now starting to drive forward with the ball. He then finds Morgan Rogers in plenty of space. And this is where we want Rogers. Not with his back to goal, with the ball at his feet. And he can just attack with pace and power and just drive forward. He drives forward and he's able to play a nice little pass to Ollie Watkins. He finds Ollie Watkins on the left-hand channel. But this isn't the only good thing about this move. It's not the Kamara little roll. It's not in driving forward. It's what he does here, which I think is absolutely brilliant. So what you can see is when Rogers gets the ball and he's passed it to Ollie Watkins, and Rogers is on the edge of the box, Rogers takes this little step to the left, which just sells the space completely. This is so good from Rodgers. It's absolutely fantastic. And what we see is this little step and this little movement. He's been able to foil Bramo, and there he's got the space. And this is where he's able to get his head up and just absolutely finish it. So this goal has got so much good stuff about it. It's got the Kamara roll. It's got the Rodgers drive. But Rodgers then has to play this weighted pass to Ollie Watkins. And then the movement from Rodgers to move and get that space and find it. Absolutely fantastic. What a goal this was. Even what McGinn did for one of the goals, where Tyrone Mings cut out the pass. He did a slide tackle, cut it out, sent McGinn on his way. McGinn driving forward. Just really good. We had energy. We had a bit of like, it felt like we'd been charged up a little bit. When I was watching McGinn press and he was ratting around and pressing from the front, he got loads of energy. Everybody seemed to just have been charged up. I don't know what to say about it, but we just looked charged up. So yeah, it was really good. Really pleased. If we have a little look at some of the stats then, so you can see from the momentum bar that Villa had big momentum in the first half, and that's where we did it. And it felt like a Villa blitz, didn't it? It was one of those Villa blitzes that we've come to recognise, where 1, 2, 3, boom, done, game. Like it was just really good. Some of the things that I thought we did good is I spoke about before the game, didn't I, about us wanting to mix the tactics up a little bit. We went a little bit longer, and it was really good. It gives the opposition something to think about, because they get set in their shape thinking, right, Villa are going to build up, Villa are going to play it from the back. And we just go, no, long, boom, find Watkins in a channel. We get up the pitch quicker. And when you're giving teams different questions, they've got to find the answers for it. And a lot of times they can't find them because we've got really good players. And I just felt like going a little bit longer was really good. So I thought that tactic was quite good. So we can see our XG was 2.43. Theirs was 1.03. We had 20 shots. We had 10 corners. We had 387 passes. We can see here as well that we predominantly attacked through the middle and through that left-hand side. Big chances scored. We had 1. Big chances missed 3. We had 41 touches in the penalty area, and Brentford had 25. Final third phase, we had 80%, 57% accuracy on our long balls. We won 53% of our duels, 57% of our ground duels, 41% of our aerials, 53% of our dribble success, and tackles won 75%. So I think Tyrone Mings added so much to our team. Defensively, he was just an absolute monster at the back, and that was just fantastic to see. So I think all in all, it was a really solid performance from Villa, and it's one now where I think we've really just got to build on it and just take that confidence and take it into the next game, because we've got a good opportunity at home against Southampton to get another victory. So yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to it. So Southampton are up next. And I've watched quite a bit of Southampton this season, and I think I've been impressed at times with some of their players, like Harwood Bellis, Tyler Diblin. I mean, everybody's talking about Tyler Diblin. We'll get onto him in a second. They've played some good football at times. Russell Martin's tried to stick with his principles, which I admire at times. I think he has tweaked it a little bit as well. I think that was probably one of the big things that everybody mentioned before the start of the season, that he was probably going to have to tweak his style of play. You look at what Company did. He didn't. They got relegated. And I think they've been a bit unlucky in some of the games. I've watched some of their games and they've done really well. The game against Liverpool, I thought they were really good. Mistakes are costing them. And I do see a lot of similarities between them and us when we first got promoted, because they do things well and then they get let down by mistakes. They play well, but they lose. And that feeling it's a horrible feeling to have. And I do see some similarities there. There's a lot of players there that I really like. I think they've got some good players. But I think the difficulty with it is that when teams are coming up from the Championship, it's very difficult to stay up because there's so many established teams in the Premier League now who are, really good teams. It's like you look at the Premier League table and you're thinking, well, who's going to go down? If you're a newly promoted team getting promoted to the Premier League, when you're looking at this table, you probably need to look at, say, the bottom half of it, really. Who's going down there? Because Palace are pretty established. They're not doing that well this season. There's a possibility they could go down. You've got Everton, who are literally down there every single year and just won't go. And they get victories when you don't expect it. West Ham, I imagine Lopetegui's probably going to get the sack soon. Bournemouth under Iraola are doing really well. Fulham, Marco Silva doing really well. So when you're looking at the Premier League of teams coming up and who's going to go, there's only one or two teams in the Premier League that are probably going to go anyway. You look at Wolves, they look like they're going to go. So I think the task is really difficult. The jump from the Championship to the Premier League is absolutely massive. That gap from Championship to Premier League, it's huge. The difference is massive. So I think it is really difficult. But they're still at 5. They've got 5 points. It looks like they are going to go down, aren't they? I think that, let's be honest, it's a difficult task. They look like they're going to go down. Their team, there's a couple of players that I think probably aren't that great. Still Bree, Bednarek, those type of players that probably let the side down a little bit. But I think they need to stick with Russell Martin because I think he's a young, up-and-coming coach. It's really difficult, and I think he's a good coach, and I think he got him promoted from the Championship, beat Leeds in the playoff final, which I think we were all absolutely buzzing about. So I think at times you can sack the manager. You look at Leicester sacking Cooper, and they've got Van Nistelrooy in. Cooper wasn't even doing that bad of a job. He got them out. I think they were out the relegation zone, weren't they? When he got the sack. So yeah, I think Southampton need to probably stick with him and try and build and grow again and try and build on what they've built. But one player that is standing out for Southampton is Tyler Devlin. He is absolutely fantastic. I've really enjoyed watching him. I enjoy watching how brave and courageous he is. And I think in football, when you are a football purist and you see an 18-year-old and you see them with no fear and you see them with full belief, as a football fan, how can you not like that? He reminds me of prime Grealish, how he just gets the ball, drives, he's gliding past players, he's able to buy a foul. And I think, in time, he'll have to add goals and assists because I don't think he's got that many this season. But he will get there, and you can see that there's a real good player there. And he's someone that's going to be a massive threat for Southampton this season. So he's a player that I really like. I enjoy watching him. I think he was brilliant against Manchester United when I saw him. So he's doing really well. Defensively, Southampton, unfortunately for them, are absolutely shocking. They are all over the place. There's sloppy goals. There's a lack of marking. They just concede too many goals. Some of the goals against Chelsea, and I know they were down to 10 men, but some of them were absolutely terrible. That not coming out, blocking shots, back post, unmarked players. quite easy to play through at times. So defensively, they've got big problems. But apart from Harwood Bellis, I think the rest of their team that's probably an area that the recruitment probably needed to be a little bit better this season. If we go to the tactical pad and have a little look at how we can potentially expect the game to go, they do play with a 5 at the back. Stevens got a red card for a little tug on Cucurella's hair. So Harwood Bellis was suspended. Flynn Downs was suspended. Diblin was suspended. So those were 3 of their best players suspended against Chelsea. I imagine they will come back into the team. Aribo had a really good game against Chelsea. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. So it's a 5-3-2 in essence. They played really well against Brighton, and their shape was quite expressive within that 5 at the back. A lot of the times, it becomes very, very narrow. What you'll find is that in some of their games, it ends up looking like this. And you'll see that their average positions from their games are very congested in the middle of the park. Now, width is going to be vitally important against Southampton. And I just think our possession, our style, Aston Villa should be dominating this game against Southampton. If we have a little look at some of their standout performances, we can see we've got the one against Liverpool where they played pretty well in that game. Possession wasn't a thing really. That they had to do a lot of defending, but they were causing them massive problems. But what you can see here is that their formation becomes very, very narrow when they're up against teams that are having a lot of the ball, and their shape of their team gets dislodged quite a lot. And you can see this from the game against Liverpool, sorry. The game against Wolves, I think, was pretty similar, if I can remember correctly. Yeah, so the game against Wolves was exactly the same. It all became very narrow, which I imagine is something that I don't think you'd want your team to look like this. I think when you look at how I expect and think Russell Martin wants Southampton to look, it's probably similar to how they're lined up against Brighton. You can see the 5 at the back, you can see the 3 in the middle, and you can see the 2 up top. So I think this is what they want to be, but I think at times structurally everybody just goes into the middle of the pitch, and I think it just becomes very, very difficult for them. If we have a look at the one against Chelsea, and it's always difficult when you look at one where a team's got 10 players, because obviously the team then looks a little bit all over the place. But yeah, again, there's a bit of width there with the front 2, but everybody's going in there centrally as well. So the big areas that I think Villa have got to be careful of against Southampton would be out wide. And I'm talking about higher up the pitch out wide. So you'll see Armstrong and Archer fanning out a little bit, stretching out. I think we've got to be careful of Tyler Diblin on transition. We've got to make sure that we're not letting him get the ball in these areas where he's able to dribble and then find an Armstrong who is really quick and can run in behind as well. What they're doing as well with Manning and Walker-Peters is playing a little bit more of an inside left-sided centre-back. So he's operating in this sort of zone. And then you've got Manning who's offering the width through there as well. So Walker-Peters is a player that I've always really thought has done really well as well. So, yeah, I think from a Villa point of view, I think same team, same lineup. Let's go. Let's try and build on what we did against Southampton. So I think from that point of view, we need to just keep going, keep getting back on track, keep doing what we're doing, really, because, we could be a good position after this game. Again, we're playing Southampton, who haven't won an away game all season. So a little bit like Brentford, who hadn't won an away game all season. No gifts. Archer, we saw what he did at Villa Park for Sheffield United last season. Let's not let him get on the score sheet either. So I'm really looking forward to it. I was really impressed with Kamara, really impressed with Mings, really impressed with Rodgers. I thought Watkins was back firing. So if our whole team now can just get that confidence and just let it drain through their body now, Watkins picking that pen up, that's big, that is. That's big for him to go, I'm having it now. So really pleasing signs. Looking forward to the game. And we will have the opposition preview, which is going to be out tomorrow as well. Fan cams will be after the game on Saturday. Cheers for all the support. Up the Villa.